Welcome, everyone. What just happened at the Indiana State House? You all, so many new laws are coming our way. When are they coming? What are they? How is it going to impact everyday Hoosier lives? It is too confusing for me to understand. It is just stacks and stacks of confusing bills, tons of pages, tons of words I don't comprehend. And I would not know what is going on in Indiana at all if I didn't have MadVoters and if I didn't have Kelly DeLong. I am so thrilled to have her on the show today. She had to go to a coffee shop to get good internet, and she is going to explain to all of us what just happened at the Indiana State House. Kelly, thank you for coming on. How are you?
Hey. Good. Yeah, I definitely wish they would have introduced some bills to help us get better internet.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so it just ended like what, a week and a half ago or something?
Yeah,
And I know a little bit of some of the stuff that's coming, but I'm very confused and I'm very overwhelmed. And I imagine a lot of us that have been trying to pay attention to Indiana laws are feeling the same. Can you help us?
and it doesn't help that they voted on some of these key bills at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how many
Really
people
nice of them.
are accessible to the State House then.
I
It's
feel
wild.
like they don't want to be transparent with us.
Well, and that's kind of how MadVoters came about because we were at the State House during 2022 and we're like, why is this information so hard to access? Why do we not know what's going on? Why do we not know the process? How are we not getting in to testify even though we're signing up? Like, what is going on? And so we started digging into it.
Yeah, I'm so appreciative of you. I've told you all this before, but I wouldn't have ran for state house if I hadn't had MadVoters. All your graphics, I followed them for over a year. What happens at the state house? And I was like, oh, I can do that. And I can actually try to pass bills that would help people instead of hurt them. And I could be more transparent about it. And that's why I ran for state house, because before I just assumed I wasn't smart enough to do that job. So I can't thank you all enough for what you do, but we just suffered through another Indiana State legislative session in 2025, and all these new things are coming out, and I am feeling anxious and stressed out about them. So, and we see why. They are passing bills in the middle of the night. They are not coming out and like putting them on a website or Facebook page for us. They're not making it easy. So you have people that track the bills, right? You have people that are staying up late at night and watching the live feed and stuff, right?
Yeah, one of our data experts actually did the math on it, and I think it was something like over 26 days if you added up all the hours of testimony through these committees and everything that it came out to be. And they're
So
only in
20
session 4 days a week
so 28
for a
days
few months.
total of like time you all are spending trying to figure out what laws are
Watching.
being passed, and you're trying to stop the worst of the worst. Like a
Yeah.
couple things that were stopped was Gary Byrne, my state senator down here in Harrison County, he tried to take out the word consent in special education, and you all let us know
Yes.
about that, and we kind of blew it up, and we emailed him and messaged him, and then he took that down. And then another one that they tried to pass, they call, you all call them zombie bills, where they're trying to pass scary things at the last minute, was making homelessness a crime. And so
Yeah.
they try to do that
And
several
that was one they
times.
put in 3 times. Three
I thought it
times,
was
Sarah.
two. Wow, three times. So if your volunteers, if you all were not just spending all so many hours of your free time listening for that, those might be laws right now. So I just want to thank you. You were able to stop some of the worst. Okay,
Yeah, and we even
let's.
heard some legislation where Rep. Baird, yes, he is the son of Jim Baird, was talking about protecting the health care of horses and
Oh
giving them
yes.
more protections than what women have. And Senator Yoder was calling him out, and it's nice we can see this happening live and get that information out to the people right away. Like, look, this could be your representative and he's out here fighting for horses and, their health care, but doesn't see the hypocrisy in it with women's health care.
I don't think they do see it, honestly. Some of these legislators, I don't think they get the hypocrisy that they're caring more about horses' health than women's health. I just don't
Yeah.
think they get it. So it's good.
Or they
I
don't
saw
want
your
to.
I saw you posted a TikTok about the homelessness. Otherwise, I don't know whether I would have seen that. And you were like on the verge of tears. You're like, we're trying so hard to make sure that homelessness isn't a crime. And here they've tried a third time right at the last minute. I mean, whew.
It was so frustrating because we had law enforcement coming in. You had all these shelter agencies, people that are boots on the ground that deal with this every day and are trying to get those resources out there. And they're hearing the legislators sit there say, well, let's just lock them up. When they come out of that, they're still going to owe fines. They're still going to be unhoused. It's not going to help them at all.
It's not going to help the problem. It's just putting blinders, trying to make the problem go away. But most of our prisons in the state are filled up. So I don't see how that's going to help. I think that would just create another problem. And these people need assistance. They need help, not to be jailed. It just doesn't solve the problem,
Right. And it was like putting them in a shelter. A cop can drive them for 5 miles. Well, when we live in rural Indiana, I mean, where's 5 miles going to get you?
Nowhere.
There's no shelters in 5 miles.
Yeah.
So then they don't have any option but to be locked up. And you heard the Cicero Institute in there promoting this. And if you go on their website at the bottom, it talks about involuntarily locking up people and blaming everything on mental health issues. And it's like, okay, yes, we have a significant mental health problem. Then let's supply those resources and support.
And something I want everybody to...
Their solution is handcuffs.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so upsetting. Something I want everybody to realize is MadVoters is a bipartisan, it's a nonpartisan organization. It's not Democrat or Republican or Libertarian. It's people-based. It's letting everybody know what is happening at the State House and trying to call out things that are bad and call out things that are good and encourage our people that do have power, our elected officials, to make the best choices for Hoosiers. It's very similar to the nonprofit Hoosier Action that we had on yesterday. They are trying to do something similar. So I just want everybody to realize it doesn't matter what political party you fall into. It doesn't matter if you've never voted before or never tracked Indiana law before. Follow MadVoters now. They're on all social media, all the main ones. Just look up MadVoters or MadVoters Indiana and follow them. And you all have a website too. What is that? Is it MadVoters Indiana, your website?
MadVoters.org. And we still have our bill tracker up. And then below our bill tracker, you can also see the governor's desk. So you can see what was actually signed and when it was signed.
So that's amazing. I have been to your website before. I just typed in MadVoters and found it. So MadVoters.org. You all can easily see what is going on at the State House. It just ended. Okay, so let's get into it.
And we track them by our values. So we're going to call out wrong is wrong. We don't care what the letter is behind your name. You know, if you're voting against something that, we oppose, we're going to support you in that. If you support something that we're supporting, we're going to thank you for that. It doesn't matter about the letter behind your name.
Right. And that's what Project Next tries to do as well. We're a brand new media company, so we're still figuring everything out, but I'm really pleased. I'm just so excited that we have a collab show because we are trying to do a lot of the same things. We're trying to help Hoosiers' lives get better, and we want our elected officials to all do better. Yeah. And I think, saving public education is a big one. Helping our special needs children in Indiana is a big one for us. And, things like making homelessness a crime and taking consent out of sex education. These things, if we can try to stop the worst of the worst, we will. But we're going to keep holding them accountable, like Sandra just said. And then we're going to try to help regular Hoosiers vote better people in. If you're not going to do what the majority of Hoosiers want, look at this candidate. And so you actually endorse candidates too, right? You'll do a MadVoter endorsed candidate.
Well, we verify them. We don't ever do any endorsements or any financial supports, but just so people know that they align with our values and that they could be a safe candidate and somebody they could look more into for supporting.
Yeah. Okay. So you verify candidates. Right. So, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying. Because sorry, I was confused. Okay. Now, do you want to talk? Do you want to pull up? You made like a amazing presentation for us to try to explain what just happened at the State House.
Yes. Katie put together some great stuff. So we are
thanks,
going
Katie.
to...
Shout out to
Yes.
Kelly, who understands technology 1,000 times better than me. She figured out like 3 hard things before this live started, and I wish I could have her at my house helping me with Project Next. You are
It's only
amazing.
because I have a team behind me that helps me when I'm stuck. So it's a lot
Okay.
of teamwork. But
Okay.
one of
So
the first
here
things
it
I
is. Let me
wanted
put
to touch
this
on,
on. I can make this go
we
away, I
see
think.
everything okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I just want to give a little bit of a layout of what the State House and what our representatives look like. This is one of our favorited graphics that anybody can share out. And actually, I think it's on our homepage of our website as well. So you can see here, all the red people are your Republican representatives. And to know like why the governor's position is important, because they're appointing all these different leadership roles. FSSA, that's your Medicaid, your SNAP benefits, all kinds of different things, the BMV and, things like that. And to see what your state Senate makeup is, you have the 40 of 50 of our state senators are Republicans. And then in the state house, the House of Reps, you have 70 of 100 of those are Republicans. So what that means is you have all these committees in the state Senate and in the state House Rep, right? And the majority party gets to chair every single one of those committees.
So we have a
And
supermajority. So it's easier for them to not listen to the people of their district because it's so easy for them to stay in power. Is that one of the problems we have in Indiana?
right. So over in the state Senate, when they do hear a bill, they don't need any Democratic votes. Same in the state House of Reps. They have enough people on their own to pass what they want, to kill what they want without any say so from the Democrats. The Democrats could never show up and it wouldn't matter
Right.
because
Yeah.
they could still
I'm
pass
going to
what they
have,
wanted. So like
I'm going to,
Democrats are there like trying to like block the bad language, like let's bring this down a notch, and really fighting for those good bills, like all these things that we could have, and still
right.
fighting for that and making people aware.
We're going to get a key in 2 weeks. I think it's the 22nd. I think it's May 22nd. I'm going to have Wendy Dant-Chesser on the show, and she is a Democrat state House of Representative from down here in the Jeffersonville, Clark County area. And I just talked to her on the phone a couple of days ago, and she said it's the only time in her life she really hasn't been able to positively influence something. Like she got there and she tried. She talked to the other state house reps and she did her best to get positive legislation passed, and she felt very frustrated that she couldn't. And so she's going to come on Mental Fitness and explain what she tried to do and what happened and how difficult it was for her. So that'll be interesting to hear because I ran for state house of representatives and I didn't get close at all to winning. And I tried. So
Yes,
yeah, we can hear from that. Okay, so thanks for explaining to that. This is why legislation comes out that doesn't reflect what the majority of Hoosiers want, even though they're voting for, they're voting Republican and they're thinking that these people have their values. They're not actually doing what the majority of Hoosiers want.
right.
And
Because in all these committees, you have committees that are your agriculture, they're broken down. I think there's over 20 in each chamber, in in the Senate and in the House of Reps. And so these chairs have a lot of power. There's the budgeting committee, in Senate, you have appropriations, and over in the House of Reps, you have the Ways and Means Committee. And they get to control what is heard, what moves forward, and if a chair says they don't support something, even though they're hearing it, that can influence others in their party on how they vote.
right.
And so they easily can kill bills. I mean, the session started with over 1,200 bills filed. And I think Braun signed like 240 something bills.
Wow, that's a lot more than I thought he was going to sign. Was that more than you thought he was going to sign?
Actually, I think it's usually like between that 10 and 20%. So it's probably about average of where they're at.
Okay.
It just depends on, how bad they are. Where last year we saw a lot of social issues that were pushed. Targeting, of course, the trans community seems to be their go-to, things like that, where this year there was a lot more budget things into play. So it was a
So you're saying there was a lot
rough
more things
year.
with our government money that changed this state session?
Yeah, so this year is what they call a long year. So when it's from January through towards the end of April, on your odd year. So it's 2025 odd year, that's your budget year. And then on the other years, it's just they both years they'll cover even and odd different bills. But the odd years are when they really hit all those budgeting and they create a 2-year budget plan.
So this was an extremely important session that happens every other year with the money.
I think
Okay.
the state budget is like $44 billion.
Huh.
So I don't know if somebody gave you, 3 months to decide where to put $44 billion for 2 years.
Wow.
And they actually didn't even introduce that bill language until the night before session closed. So
Do you think they wanted us to not be aware of it so we couldn't pull up a fuss about things? I mean, it seems like they're really trying to be as covert as possible.
Yeah, we definitely didn't have the opportunity to testify on a lot of issues. And our own representatives who are voting on this, our own legislators in both the Senate and the House, didn't have any time to read through all of it. The budget bill, I think, is over 200 pages, and they have like less than 24 hours to sort through it.
What human can do that? What human could read that? So I don't even understand how that's allowed. But it is upsetting that that's how our laws are being passed in Indiana, very covertly, and the people voting on them don't even have time to read them. I mean, okay. So
and the
yeah,
party in charge gets to make up those rules as they go through session.
oh gosh, this is upsetting to me because you just kind of blindly assume before you get involved into local politics that the people we've elected to represent us are doing their best for us. And then when you really get in and find out, it's like, no, they're secretly passing things. We don't exactly even know what was passed. The legislators voting didn't even have time to read them. Okay, so keep going. What else did you want to explain to us?
Okay, so we kind of already talked about this a little bit. So if you go on the MadVoters.org page, this is on this side over here shows what our new bill watch looks like. So you'll see these different boxes that have different bills. You'll have your thumbs up or thumbs down if we support them or not. And then a summary of what the bill means. And then we also do, simpler terms. So you don't have to read all the legal language. What does this mean for me? What does this mean for my community? And then you'll see these call to action tabs. So you can click on those and it will take you to a public Canva link. And again, it will break down the bill better for you. It'll tell you who you can contact, who authored these bills, and kind of where it's at. If you're old school and you like a spreadsheet, you can go to the, older version of the bill tracker and see spreadsheet versions if that's your jam.
I like how you give people options for finding this information. You guys are so amazing.
Yeah, we try to lay it out there. And we're so excited for our Bill Watch team. We have the data people, we have people in education, gurus, healthcare. They really are the rock stars.
Thank you so much. All of you that are MadVoters volunteers that are doing this hard work. I cannot thank you enough.
Yeah, they are amazing. And then if you scroll below these bills on these blue at the bottom, you'll see here's the governor's desk. We have it built in right to our website. So you don't have to go clicking around everywhere.
That's
amazing. You can actually scroll through his desk and it will tell you the date that they were signed. So Tuesday was his deadline for filing the last of the bills. And I believe there were like over 60 bills sitting there waiting to be signed, and he signed all of them.
Wow. So he didn't seem to go after and be like, no, this was too extreme, State House, I'm not going to sign this one. He just signed all of them. Is there anything that he didn't sign that came to his desk that he said no to?
Nope, he signed all of them. Unfortunately, even bills that barely passed.
Like the bipartisan school board. So we have,
Yes.
or partisan school board, sorry. So partisan school board was very close. It was not popular. It is not popular across Hoosiers in the state, making politics, putting politics into our classroom. Now, people that want to run for school board have to identify as a Republican or a Democrat or an independent or libertarian. And if you're in
Or
a super majority like we are here, only the Republicans have a chance of winning, and they get to say no to parents that they don't want or people that they don't want on the school board running as an RRD. They can use gatekeeping if they want. So I wish you
right,
would have said
you
no
have
to that.
that. You also have, they can put in a blank space, but then people are going to, accuse you of being secretive,
Oh,
even though you're
you could put
trying
in a,
to be neutral to help support, students and staff in your community. And the other problem with that is if you run under a party name, one of that is, say you have 3 people running who are blank space, they're neutral, and one person comes in under a party, then the Hatch Act goes into effect. So if somebody, is from the military, from Homeland Security, the post office, anything like that, they can't run. They're automatically booted from the race, and that one person could win
I
just
hope we
because
can
they're in a
change
party.
this law, but
And if you declare a party and you have that party support, now you're going to have all this extra influencing of funding, all this ideology, the crazy things that we hear about litter boxes and everything else. It's not good for our schools.
right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
So I am disappointed to hear. I didn't know that Braun literally signed every single thing that came to his desk from the supermajority. Okay, keep going.
yeah, it's definitely frustrating. So
Yeah.
here is, like I said, the budget is over 200 pages. So obviously we're not going to
Wow.
go through all of that.
This
But
is going to
kind of
be a
wanted to get some highlights
week-long
here.
live. It's going to be a week-long
Right.
live. It's going to be a marathon.
Yeah, like so one of the things where we have the decreases too. So they cut 5% to state universities. They cut completely the funding to the School of the Blind and the VIP, which is the visually impaired preschool.
Oh
Like
my gosh. So
going
blind
after
children in
vulnerable.
Indiana's lives just got a lot harder in our state then.
Yeah, the On My Way pre-K program, they cut it by 15%, reducing the eligibility. So part of that is down here, you'll see the CCTF. That is the child care vouchers for people who are lower income and they need, where they're still paying part of their child care, but the state is helping them out, so that they can go to work and they can try to better their lives. And the state said, no, we're going to kick 20,000 kids off a child care assistance.
Oh, that breaks my heart
Working
because
families.
I know people that rely on that. I hope it's not going to kick them off. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I'm like, and it's such a problem. We have a childcare crisis in Indiana as it is. And now
Yeah.
where are these 20,000 kids going to go?
I literally help my neighbors stay housed. Every month they struggle to pay rent and then they have discounted childcare. And I'm worried that that discounted childcare is going to change soon because some of it's federal and some of it's state, and both are being cut right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is scary.
It's scary. It is. And something we just need to keep our eye on. So we just want people to be informed
Right.
and know where these are coming from and how we can change that and what we can do about it.
Right.
So going along the list more, they cut out the funding for PBS. I'm sure people have heard about that one. That one hit the headlines a lot.
Yeah.
Good timing. And
Free
like
fun
areas like
education for
mine.
children. Yeah, let's just cut free fun educational materials for our children. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right. And areas like mine that don't have big news agencies, like this is all we have.
Right. Yeah. Same.
No.
Yeah. We don't have big news agencies doing a good job locally. Yeah. And so this hurts.
Yeah.
I think they hurt NPR too and PBS both.
Yeah. They cut out the funding for the Indiana Commission for Women, the Native American Indian Affairs Commission, completely gone.
Wow.
Cut out completely the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Braun said, oh, his wife was going to pick it up. And they said, oh, probably the Lilly Foundation will pick it up. To date, we have not heard of any of that funding coming to fruition. It sounds like Braun's wife is going to start a program to start fundraising But so far it's not. And that Dolly Parton Imagination Library gives books to young kids. They get one book a month. I think the cost is around like $2 a book. The state pays for the shipping of it. And the Dolly Parton program actually supplies the book.
Wow. So just the state was paying for the shipping. Yeah, all three of my children used that Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Those books were such great books. We love them so much. We still have tons of them. I'm really sad that other new children in Indiana that are it's from like when they're born to 5. Now they're not going to get that. Unless
Right,
somehow
especially in a
Ron's
state
wife
where we
raises
don't
that
have
money.
right, and we don't have universal pre-K. We talk about our reading stats being low and how we want to support them and how we need to bring up our reading grades.
We'll take away free
We've
books
done
then. That's
that.
going to help. Yeah.
Right, and now we're taking away books. Like, please explain.
Yeah. I know that one thing
special education was cut out.
Oh my gosh.
Go
I was
ahead,
just going to
Sarah.
shout out to you
Don't get
guys.
on a roll.
They always try to go after libraries, and that's one of the things MadVoters helps with. You spread the word very quickly. Oh, they're attacking libraries. They're attacking libraries by doing this and this, and we get the word out and we put pressure, and those usually don't pass. So I know this is negative and this is depressing to hear the new laws coming, but it could have been worse. And we did protect libraries, I believe. So
Well, so like fun little fact, last year we had SB 32, which was actually cutting 50% of the library funding. And Sarah had actually saw our info on Instagram, and Sarah took the next steps with that, right? You ran with it.
I
It was your
let
state
the
senator who
librarians
authored
know.
that.
Yeah, and it was our state senator Gary Byrne trying to do it with somebody else, and our librarians went and talked to him and got him to back off. So, but he tried another thing this year, a different way to hurt libraries. I think they kind of wanted their own control over the money. They wanted the counties to be in control of the money for the libraries, so they had to do an extra step, and then they could really police the books, which seems to be Gary Byrne's main thing. He seems to really want to police what books our kids read instead of letting parents decide what books their children read. He wants to pick, and he wants to take out any books that are scary, like about gay people. Oh, so scary. He wants stuff like that. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, it's always about parents' rights until we actually get into everyday issues.
He wants to parent
government
us.
rights. Yes. So the library did lose 30% of their funding, and like you said,
oh, no, I didn't know
it
that.
used to be, yes. So the state used to be able to, kind of direct where some of those funds go. Certain percentages, with property taxes and such, will go to these different programs. And now it's going to be local control, which local control can be great in a lot of things.
Not mine.
But not having provisions and some safeguards on this, we're really going to have to pay attention to our local government and start attending those meetings and finding out what's going on and what they're going to do with the dollars.
This bums me out. I thought we stopped this, but
communities.
Stop some of it. I didn't know that. Okay, keep going, Kelly.
So, yes, 73% cut to our public health. So for the vaccination programs, it's going to affect the opioid relief.
I cut you off. I'm so sorry. So there were significant cuts to special education grants. So they're not like schools that have special needs children in them are not going to be able to get as much funding to help those children. Is that what that means?
Yes. And when we get into education, there will be some more on that as well.
Okay. All right. That bums me out. All right. It just seems like we hurt the ones that are the most vulnerable in our state.
Exactly. Just like them going after the SNAP benefits, Braun signed an executive order, you can't buy candy or cake or whatever, sodas. And that counts for, I think, nationwide, like 10% or less of what SNAP benefits are cut up, spent on. And instead of going after these manufacturers who are producing these processed foods that are unhealthy and stuff, it's like, let's attack the families. Let's let them not have a birthday cake celebration for their kids because they're poor and they get SNAP.
Yeah, they should get an apple with a candle in it, I guess. Yeah, for their birthday, because so it just seems like a very judgmental way to attack our most vulnerable.
Absolutely. And I actually looked up where the county that I live in, there's a town that's like right on the Ohio border. It actually has a pretty decent grocery store. It has several gas stations in that town. Only the gas stations accept the SNAP card, the food stamp card in that whole town. And they are miles and miles and miles from another town.
So they can't even get it at a grocery store. So they can't get as healthy a food then.
Right.
Oh,
What are you going to
oh.
get at the gas station?
And a
Because
lot of
their
times
grocery
foods
store
at the
does
gas station
not.
cost more too. It costs more at the gas station, so it won't go as far.
Exactly. And there are so many in that town that don't drive, or they don't have a vehicle.
Long story short about why we're doing this, because I know this is painful, everybody. Let everybody know what's happening. And you don't have to bum them out and tell them 1,000 things. Just pick one thing and say, do you know our elected officials passed a law this year that does this cut to this thing that you care about? And they're like, no, I didn't know that. Well, we need to vote somebody better in the primary next May, and then in the November election. It doesn't take it takes like 1 minute to tell your neighbor what's going on, because most people in Indiana have no idea because they're so quiet about making these terrible laws. Okay, so keep going.
Yeah, that's definitely true. We can definitely, pick
We can
one thing
change
and
this.
start those conversations and, and talk about, that
Right.
balanced government graphic at the beginning that I showed you that's available, and this is why things they are the way that they are. You have one party in complete control with no safeguards. And this is what happens after 20 plus years of that being how it is. Sorry
Right.
if it's getting loud here. They're kind of
It's
running
okay. I can
blenders
still
in
hear
the
you fine.
background.
It's just fun
Okay.
coffee shop noises. It's like we're having this conversation in a coffee shop.
We are. So where did they increase funding? So virtual charter schools, they got over 14% increase in their funding.
What? Maybe. Why are we cutting libraries? Why are we cutting food programs for poor kids? Why are we cutting blind services for our blind children? But we're cutting that, but we're giving more money for virtual schools.
Yes.
Make it make sense. It
Actually,
doesn't make sense.
I saw actually my own House Representative Ben Smaltz posted a simple pie graphic, and it showed, I think it said like 44% is going to K through 12 education. And I'm like, well, break that down, because of course everybody's sharing it that follows him and believes him, and they're going, look how expensive, how much our public schools are getting, and they're getting worse, and da 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 da. And I'm like, wait, let's break this down. What does that really mean, K through 12 education? Where the state is actually funding 3 different types of schools. So they have the charter schools, which are considered a public school. Then you have your traditional public schools, which are our school districts. And then you have the voucher program that goes to private schools. We cannot sustain supporting 3 different types of education programs in the state. And what one are they making it the hardest on to survive?
Public. So I really feel like their goal is to turn our public schools into charter ones. It seems like they're already trying to do that. I'm very worried in my county, in Harrison County, Morgan Elementary, North Harrison Elementary, and North Harrison High School. It's just 3 schools. I'm very worried these are going to be turned into charter schools in a few years, because there aren't charter schools here. We don't have them. So we're funding them. We're stripping away money from these perfectly great schools we have locally in these buildings where the buses pick them up. I'm very worried that that's their plan, because we can't sustain we need to just be supporting public funds should go to public goods. And we're not in education. And they're saying it differently, like school choice. If your kid doesn't like their school, they should get to go to another school. But reality, it doesn't work like that.
Right, because it is school choice. That's the problem. That's not a good thing, because that means those schools get to pick and choose who they're going to accept. Personally for me, I have a child who's on homebound care, who gets special needs services. We have a couple of private schools in my area. They're not going to take him. He has significant needs on an IEP.
So,
they don't have the supports. They don't have to follow the same laws to support him. They don't have to provide transportation.
I don't even
I
know what
just,
would
it's
happen.
so
What if
frustrating.
your public schools get shut down, which I know is their goal? They're trying to shut down public
Mhm.
schools. What if your schools get shut down? Where's your kid going to go to school? Because the charter and private schools can say no to your kid that needs special things. I don't even understand. What is their plan? To make you do it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think our lieutenant governor actually just recently was on a podcast and said it's not the government's job. It is not the government's job. And, we are families just trying to look for support. We're not trying to, scam anybody. We just need to make sure that all of our kids have the most supports possible so that they can reach their fullest potential and
When
live
I
a
s-
healthy and happy life.
when I started teaching in 2003, our state government funded public education fully. They didn't have the voucher program yet. They also really supported special education. There were more special ed teachers in the classroom, there were more assistants, and there were more programs. And then we've seen over 20 years later this attack on public education and on special education, where they just cut a little funding here this year, they cut a little more the next year, they cut a little more the next year, they take away a special ed teacher, they take away an aide, they take away a funded program that really helped special needs students. And then they started saying, oh, the public schools aren't doing as well, and we're giving them so much money, we better take away more money. So they made cuts. Our government, our Indiana government, made cuts to education and then blamed the schools for not doing as well when it's their fault, which is gaslighting. And they're still using that excuse now until all of us work together to say, no, no, you're the problem. You're the problem, not the schools. So MadVoters really
And
helps
there's
us see
also
that.
And there's also a misconception that private schools do so much better with education and graduation rates and things like that. And actually, what the data shows in Indiana is that kids that come from private schools that go back into the public school system are behind in math. And the graduation rate between private and public districts is like within 1% of each other overall for the state average. And then when you look at charter schools, their graduation rate is like in the 50s, like 50 some
Wow.
percent.
Wow. Yeah, my son did a charter school virtually during the pandemic, and it was a disaster. It was terrible. He needs to be in a building with other children, with teachers raising his hand, communicating with other students. I was shocked at how bad it was. Like, it sounded okay during that really stressful time, and I thought he was going to get time to like talk to other kids on like Zoom meetings, and he barely ever got to do that. And he struggled so much with his mental health from lack of talking to other kids his age. And now he's thriving in the public school system in ninth grade. And I think people don't realize how bad virtual charter schools are. And it's so important that kids interact with other kids in person.
Right. And I think, different schools can work for different kids, right? But
Yeah, I'm sure
if
some
you
kids
want
need
that,
that. I get that. Yeah.
then you need to be able to support that because if we're going to provide public tax dollars towards these programs, then they should have the same regulations, and they don't. Charter
Right.
schools, they have what they call charter school managers, these management companies. They don't have, public school boards that you can go to.
Yeah.
They
So
don't
you don't
have
really
the
get
same
much say.
regulations. They don't have
Right.
right. They don't have the same oversight. And actually, the charter schools in Indy, I believe it's like 1 in 3 shut down because of fraud, mismanagement.
1 in 3.
1 in 3,
Wow.
and some
Yeah,
of
because
those
there's loopholes
have
in our
been
laws. Right. There's loopholes in our
right.
laws so that people are making money off of charter schools. And that's why our government is pushing them so hard. I believe it's because of the money. And you can see that on opensecrets.org. You can track, organizations that are profiting off of these charter schools. They are pushing, they're giving money to our elected officials, and then they're even like helping write the bills and giving it to the elected officials to push, and then Governor Mike Braun is signing them into law.
Yeah, it's wild. I know. I think we could do a couple of whole sessions just on
We can
education
do
alone,
just on education,
right?
but yeah, keep going. We'll do more stuff on this, you all, and we'll try to keep helping. So keep going, Kelly. with your
Yeah.
amazing
And
knowledge,
I'm like,
girl.
we're still on the budget. We haven't even made it into any of the
Yeah, sorry.
issues yet. Oh no, this is all good information to get out there. So they added an extra 300 million to the Department of Corrections. And they did for DCS, but something that is in the budget bill.
Yeah, oh, I lost you a second. What is DCS mean? Hopefully I'm gonna get you back, Kelly. I
Oh,
lost
what
you a second.
happened?
What? Yeah, repeat what you just said about 7 seconds ago.
So they added funding to the Department of Child Services,
Okay.
but one of the problems in this bill is they also took away the maximum amount of caseload that a DCS worker can have. And our DCS workers are already overworked.
Okay. So another thing they made worse. All right.
Right. So what's going to happen to our kids that are in these vulnerable situations, and you have caseworkers who are taking 50 plus different cases?
Yeah, this is terrible.
Yeah, it's not going to be good for our kids. But they somehow found the funding to give, it's around $4 million to the Real Alternatives, which is an out of state program. And if you think of anything that's affiliated with Right to Life, with the crisis pregnancy centers that are unregulated, they call them, make themselves look to be medical facilities, and they're really not. In my town, we have one that's actually connected to our hospital system. So when you pull in, it looks like you're going to the hospital system, to their outpatient offices, and it's a crisis pregnancy center is front and center.
Yeah.
And they're not medical at all.
Corinne's
They're
talked a
not
lot about this
regulated.
on her Plots and Politics show about Christian nationalism pumping into our government. And now with Micah Beckwith as our lieutenant governor, he's really pushing this too. Yeah, we are publicly funding religious programs that give misinformation when a woman comes in pregnant. Like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Yes.
it's scary.
And like
So
when you
even-
talked about Gary Burns' bill about where he cut out consent for sexual education, but yet he added in where kids have to be shown an ultrasound video.
Oh, is that creepy ultrasound video where they name the baby Olivia? Because Corinne talked about
the
that.
baby Olivia video. Yes.
That it's not in. So the baby's. It's like the fetus is talking like it's a full-grown baby. Oh yeah. So that's
bad.
great. I'm glad we're government funding misinformation propaganda. Okay.
Yeah. So you have kids that are going into like that 5th, 6th grade time where they're starting to talk about those things, and you might want to prepare them for the baby Olivia video, because that will be coming to a school near you.
Oh yay! Great. Yeah.
Yes. And they also found $3 million to give to the lieutenant governor's office for faith-based initiatives.
Ow, this one hurts a lot. Oh gosh. And yeah, so we talked about Micah Beckwith and what he's doing on a Plots and Politics episode. So you can check that out on YouTube. Go to playlists and look at Plots and Politics, and the ones that are about Christian nationalism talk exactly about this program, because Corinne broke it down for us. It's scary.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely
Okay.
good information to know, and too much for us to get into right now. So some of the concerns, obviously there's a lot, but the governor in the budget bill got full control of the IU Board of Trustees. So it used to be that there were 3 members that were voted in, and Braun said that was basically not democratic enough. So him having full control is more democratic.
I don't understand the logic there. I don't really want him involved in IU Bloomington. I can't. I wonder what they're feeling right now, the people that work there. This is scary.
Yeah, so the ACLU just released, I believe yesterday, that they have filed a lawsuit against the state for this being in the bill.
That's another great group to follow on your social media, is the Indiana chapter of the ACLU. They are challenging some of these things that say this goes against our democracy, and then they sue our government, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Yes, and a little plug on Monday evening, I believe around 7 o'clock. The Central Indivisible is actually hosting MadVoters and ACLU to do another legislative breakdown together. So
That's
that will be really
amazing.
interesting to catch too. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a way to watch that online?
I think if you go to the madvoters.org website, it should be linked there, and it's also through the Indiana Central Indivisible.
Okay. That sounds amazing.
So.
Okay. I need to try to see if I can find an ACLU person that wants to come on the show. That would be helpful to find out more what they do and how they do it and how we can support them. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. They definitely do a lot of good work there too. So it does not address the Medicaid waiver wait list. So we have kids with disability services that we're waiting about 3 years right now before we can get case management services and start getting more supports for in the home and in the community. And then also that's the Pathways program. So if you have somebody who elderly or somebody that you're taking care of that has like a traumatic brain injury, you have somebody who has a dementia, and that can progress quickly with some people, but you're put on a 1, 2, 3 year wait list to get home management supports or to get them into a nursing program. It's a lot on a family.
So
And,
you're saying a family that has a special needs child or a medical, like a giant medical problem that's very expensive, they can't just get Medicaid quickly. It could take up to 3 years.
Right, because if a family just goes and applies for Medicaid, FSA is going to look at their resources. They're going to see how many cars they have, what their house is worth, what their income is, right? They're going to look at all of that versus when they're on the waiver that doesn't have an income cap to it. If you're disabled and you need the supports, then you qualify, period.
Okay.
But unfortunately, there's a long wait list for that. And
I did not know there was I did not know about the wait list. I would wish we would put some more money into that so the wait list was less. We should be helping those that need it the most. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that's I think the summary of today's episode.
I know. I'm like, we're gonna run out of time, and we're not even.
We just have to do a part 2, girl. You just let me know when you have time,
I guess.
and we'll do this again. You are so freaking amazing, Kelly. Okay, keep going.
Absolutely. Okay, so our first breakdown, this one pager is about healthcare. So you'll notice at the top we have the good bills, but you'll notice next to the good bills, a lot of them say did not pass.
So okay. So there were good bills.
Good one.
Oh, I was like, yay, look at this. But then there's so one passed, one good bill. Okay, do the one good bill. We need just some good news, girl. Tell us the good one.
Right. So this one is gonna try to help with the quality and your access of care and eliminating the COPA. And I am not a healthcare expert. I've tried to ask some questions of our healthcare team, but it is a lot to learn. So I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on all of this. We definitely have more information about this bill on our website where it breaks down all the language for that.
Okay, so something good happened. We don't exactly understand, but that's good. Okay, and then a bunch of good bills.
A lot to sum up in a couple of minutes.
And I noticed when I'm looking at the good bills that we're trying to get passed, Democrats tried to pass them, but they are a minority, so we went straight division. Just they followed political lines, and Republicans said no to them, and Democrats probably said yes to them. I would imagine is what happened, and that's why the good bills did not get passed except for one.
Right. Yeah, that's typically what happens. But you have like Senate Bill 317 here that Senator Codora, he co-signed that with Senator Charbonneau he's the chair.
And that's a Democrat and a Republican working together. That's beautiful.
Right. A bipartisan bill, and actually made it through part of the way, and then it lost. Oh
my gosh, this one affects me. Would have protected patients from unfair hospital billing practices and made medical debt more manageable for patients. I'm going through this because I had that thyroid surgery, have my thyroid removed, and I can't tell what the bill's for, and it's all confusing, and then sometimes insurance doesn't cover it, and it should have, and so that would have helped with that. It's amazing that that was bipartisan.
you get 20 different bills from 20 different things because you have labs, you have the actual
The
hospital, you have
the
all the different
horror of they're still
providers.
coming.
It's
I had this
terrible.
in December. I'm still getting bills. What if you're fighting, just to stay housed? You need all your money to just pay your bills, and then you got those coming. So yeah, so that's sad that didn't pass. But I am proud to see the Charbonneau person. I'm just proud to see that. Is it a he? Is he that he's working with Democrats?
Yeah, Ed Charbonneau. Yeah, he's a senator
Okay,
up in Northwest Indiana, I believe, and
that's
he's the chair of
positive
the
to
health
hear.
committee. Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
sounds
down
like he
here we
actually
have some
wants to
bad
help people.
bills.
Okay, bad
Yes.
bills that did not pass,
Um,
did not pass.
right.
Okay.
So we had quite a few that didn't pass. Some didn't even get a hearing, and some got turned down. So um, definitely a good thing. One of the bad bills that did pass was Senate Bill 2, and that's actually something probably Hoosier Action talked about with yesterday. I know they've done a lot of work on SB 2, the Medicaid bill, because initially they wanted to kick off like 500,000 people. I don't know, it was hundreds of thousands of Hoosiers off of HIP. And instead, they left the number of people on there, but then they added like all these extra checks and all these extra barriers. And it used to be that like every 6 months you had to do a redetermination. And those aren't always the easiest, especially if you have somebody who is suffering from different medical conditions, mental health issues, different disabilities where, they can't just pen and paper or, have access to the computer. Like me, I don't even have internet access to pull
I
up the
know.
information, right?
Right.
For the very basics of it. So they're going to add in some barriers for that. Different work requirements are added. So that's why we left it as a bad bill because they have added all these extra barriers.
And what bad bill was passed there? Did you just talk about that one? SB2?
That was SB2. Yeah, that was just
Oh,
talking
okay.
about. Yeah.
All right.
Um,
And I see the next
Definitely
one did not
unfortunate.
pass. That's got my senator on there. It's got Byrne on there. Criminalize abortion medication. I'm glad that one did not pass. I've had to use that to
Yeah.
save
We
my
even
life
had,
before.
not healthcare related, but we even had Representative Wesco, who had put up the bill about ending no fault divorces.
Oh
You hear
gosh.
about that? Yes.
That's
Would have been
terrifying.
so, yeah, for people who are in a bad situation and stuff. It would have been terrible. It would have required them to have like a witness who's not like closely related to them that would have to come and like testify for them that they deserve to get a divorce, to get permission to get a divorce from
Seems
an
like a way
unhealthy
to just
situation.
keep
Or
people in abusive marriages, make them stuck. It's already
yeah,
hard to get out of a marriage when it's negative. This would just been another roadblock. I really feel like the people in power want to control our lives and tell us how to live. And I just don't see how that helps Hoosiers. It's like they have this one ideology of what a family should look like, and it should be a certain type of Christianity. They should be married with lots of children. They should be attending some type of private or charter school, and they should be going to their version of a church, and they should not be allowed to get library books that have anybody different painted in it, no other religions or cultures or lifestyles. And it's like, that's not what like Republicans are supposed to believe. They're supposed to be conservative, and they're supposed to be don't tell you what to do. So there are
the
a lot of
party of
great
small
Republicans.
governments is not
Yeah,
small
there are a lot
government.
of great Republicans in Indiana, and I don't think they realize that the people they've been voting for are this extreme. I just don't think they know.
Yeah, they don't because they put out those simple pie charts that shows, look at us, we're supporting K through 12 education, and people don't understand. Well, let's break that down. What does that really mean?
And that's what you do so well at MadVoters, and I'm just so thankful because it's so confusing and overwhelming. Like, we can't get through it all in this episode. We literally need to do a week marathon, and maybe we could get through it all. Okay,
Yeah,
keep going. Sorry.
it's so frustrating. It's like when you have to write a bill to tell the head of your executive team and your legislators that you can't buy $90,000 luxury SUVs. Like, why do
Yeah,
you need a bill to tell you that? And then the
so
two of them still snuck one in, our lieutenant governor and our secretary of state, right?
they bought $88,000 vehicles with taxpayer money, yet they're telling us we can't afford proper education. We got to cut special ed. We got to cut libraries. but they can buy their expensive cars. It seems a little hypocritical. Maybe we should elect better people that actually care about us. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
All
it's
right.
so
What else
frustrating.
did you want to say? And then if Wendy, let
Do
me know
you
when
want
you
to
need
get into
me.
education, or do you want to? We're about at the hour mark now, and
So let's
education can get
do
into.
another one on education. Kelly, just text me when you have time, when you can go to your coffee shop again, girl. And let's just do a whole episode on education, maybe. What do you think?
Okay, so we'll skip over it since we touched some of it earlier.
Yeah,
But like
I've
this
done
is a
some
good
episodes on it,
graphic.
but yeah. Okay.
Like this is a great graphic to show for people who were getting the private school vouchers. You could make over $19,000 a month, Sarah, and
What do you
still get a
mean?
voucher.
Oh, yes. So people that have plenty of money to pay for their own private school, they're getting
But while
100% of it paid
yes,
with our
and
tax
so now
dollars.
yes, and now the state house, we have Governor Braun running around. We even heard Todd Houston. They were all saying, we need to tighten our belts, right? Everybody are expected to do more with less. But guess what? Starting next year, these vouchers go universal, which means it doesn't matter how much you make, you qualify.
So that passed. I heard that that was a possibility. So now you can make $500,000 and you get a voucher, and it strips money from our public education so your kids can go to your special school that you can easily
Yeah,
pay
actually,
for.
let me pull up a really quick school here real quick if I can.
Sure. Yeah, I thought this was going to come, and I was really hopeful we could stop it. I think they also, part of their plan is to put extra terrible things in it, so we focus on those so they can pick the really bad ones. Just regular really bad like this get passed. I think that's part of their plan as well.
Yeah, so a really useful tool is actually from ICPE, which is the Indiana Coalition for Public Education, a great group. So if you scroll down here, look, there's us, Sarah. Right here, you'll see the ICPE. You can't find it mobile.
I don't think we can see that. Are you seeing the screen?
You
I
can't
just
see my. I'm
just seeing the money screen. That's okay. Oh, there you go.
Did
I
it
got it
flip
now.
over?
I got it now.
Oh, sorry.
District
I'm so
share.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. You're amazing.
So if you scroll down here to the ICPE part, we built it right into our website. You have to be like on a laptop or a desktop to pull it up. It doesn't work well on mobile.
Okay.
You can
Oh, yes.
to a school
I've seen
district.
this. Yep. I've looked at this before.
Somewhere close to me, we'll pull up. Let's do Fort Wayne. So Fort Wayne schools have lost over $63 million to vouchers
in 8 years
because it's one big bucket. Yeah, one big bucket of money, and so all these 3 different school programs are getting funded from this big bucket. So
I talked to our superintendent with North Harrison, and he said they have to pinch every single penny, and then they just keep giving them more requirements with no money to meet those requirements, and then they keep cutting things. And I don't know how our schools are doing as well as they are. Like I just don't know. I just found out the other day an amazing speech teacher is quitting because she can't handle the pressure that she's getting, how hard it is to do her job, and the negative parent support. Like the parents are hearing fake things about special ed and they are attacking her. And so I'm just like, this is so sad.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. Like, there's this House Bill 1002, and it was considered a deregulation bill, and they keep taking away trainings on like seizure care, on identifying somebody who comes from a home of all kinds of different abuse. Like our teachers need to be able to identify those things and help get those kids assistance, and they want to take away those trainings and supports. But something else that they snuck in here was taking away some of the behavior reports, and I've been asking questions, and I'm still trying to get the full one-on-one on what that means, because you can have kids that are on IEPs, and so you want to target a specific behavior that they're going through, right? So you'll do a functional behavior analysis. So you'll have people that will collect data, they'll observe them, and then you come together as a team and you figure out, okay, how can we best support this? What can we do? What can we change to help the student through this so that they can be more successful in a school environment? And they're taking away those types of behavior plans.
Yeah, we can do another episode just on this, and then we can really talk about what we can do. I actually had my first case conference for my child in kindergarten this week. It was 2.5 hours long. There were 5 experts in there, and I was blown away with how much they're doing for my child. And I thank them so much. And they like almost cried because they said usually they get yelled at for doing their job, and there are parents attacking them right now. And I told them, I said, do you know about MadVoters? And then I told them about some of the other great organizations we have in Indiana. I said, there are thousands of us fighting for you. And I said, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But I said, do not give up hope. We are getting better at working together, at calling this out, at educating everybody else about this so that we can stop it when we go and vote. And I just was just trying to say, do not lose hope. Precious teachers and educators that are doing everything to help my children, please do not give up hope. So that is how I want to leave it for you all, everybody. MadVoters is amazing. They have helped so much in Indiana. They're not stopping. They've just grown. They're going to keep growing. If you want to help them, you can go to their website, you can go to Facebook, and you can message them and say you want to help, and they will find out what you want to do and get you started. We are going to keep doing this. We're going to keep growing. We're going to get better. We're going to do another MadVoters episode. And we're going to keep fighting until things get better. And then we're going to keep fighting to get it even more. So do not lose hope. Kelly,
Exactly.
Thank you for what you're doing. Is there anything you want to end on? And I'm just so grateful that we're friends and that you do this with me.
No, I appreciate you so much. I'm just want to encourage people that even though session is over, we can still continue to educate ourselves about what did happen this session, and talking to our friends, talking to our neighbors. If legislators are doing a town hall or an open house or something, and they're shaking your hand and telling you, I supported K through 12 education, ask those questions.
Is it public education? Don't accept, I support K through 12 education. Do you support public K through 12? That's what they're doing. They show you, they clump the money and say, look how much we give to education, but they're not dividing it into private and charter. So you got to be more specific. Yeah. We can't let them get away with that anymore. Right. That's
like smart. When you break that down, who got the biggest part of that pie?
Right.
That wasn't
and 90% of kids in Indiana attend public schools. Public taxpayer money should go to public schools. Right.
Exactly.
Kelly, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.
We're going to keep combating this information, and we're going to keep getting the truth out there of what's really going on, and working together to do that.
You're amazing. Part of the reason you do this is because of your kids, and you fight so hard for them, and my heart goes out to you. I just think you're an incredible person, and I love you and care about you. I wish we lived closer, but I'm glad we talk on the phone and do stuff like this. And Kelly's the one doing lots of work for these episodes. She pumps out a lot of graphics for me and a lot of organization and finding me people, and it's really helping. And I know you don't have a bunch of time, so I appreciate that you're spending all that extra time. Thank you.
No, I appreciate we have this platform, and we're getting this information out there. And that's the thing, keep connecting with people in your communities. You'll be surprised about how many people care, how many people, some just don't know, or some know, and they're just looking for someone else to talk to and connect with.
Yeah, you're so right. There's tons of us out there. That's why I was letting those teachers know. Yeah. All right. Love you all. Have a fantastic rest of your day. I've got Plots and Politics tomorrow. I believe it's going to be at 12:30. I just got a text from Corinne. So there's a Plots and Politics tomorrow if you want to see that. And follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us, Facebook, invite your friends. And thank you for the help, everybody. Love you guys. Share this episode. Tell a friend. We got to get the word out. Yeah. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Kelly.